Hi guys, this is Race on the way with another death. This will be with deku had the power of Archie Sonic and Video Game Sonic Part 8. We're allowed off, everyone is heading home after dealing with the test. Todoroki talking to Momo about the other classmates. Deku, Miles, and Knuckles begin to head home, basically getting ready to study. While that's happening, All Might talks to Shadow in a cafe, and after that he heads home to his apartment with Melissa. After they all go home, we cut to the next day. Every other class is basically the same, but when it comes to the hero class, Aizawa tells them it's time to pick a class president. After everyone hears this, they all begin to shout at each other, saying why they should be the class president. Deku basically looks at Tails, saying, hey, you should be the class president, you're smart enough. Tails basically looks at Deku, telling him, you think so? Knuckles chimes in, saying, you think so? We know so. Well, everyone begins to chime. Shadow basically begins to wonder. Shadow begins to think to himself, saying, what's the whole point of having a class president? It's practically worthless. While Shadow's thinking this, Todoroki raises his hand, and Aizawa calls on him, basically saying, why do we need a class president? Can't we just present ourselves? Aizawa basically looks him dead in the eyes and says, no, you need a class president. Before Shadow can tell him how pointless it is to need a class president, Aizawa tells them it's also showing how capable you are as a hero, showing them what you can do and how much of a leader you can be. Miles looks at Deku and says, why don't you be class president? Deku tells him, I don't know, that sounds like a lot of work. Knuckles looks at him and tells him, fine then, if you don't, then you're going to have to lose to me again. Deku gets up and says, we need to lose to you again. Deku tells him, I beat you in a fight and I can do it again. Deku tells him, oh really then? He basically tells the class that he wants to be the class president. Shadow stands up and says, if you think I'm going to let you represent us, you're wrong. And tells the whole class that he wants to be the class president. Shadow and Deku begin to stare each other down. Momo begins to stand up, saying, there's no way I'm going to let a slacker and a dictator be our class president. That's why I'm taking it. Shadow tells him, if you think I'm going to let you get there, you're wrong. Deku looks at Shadow and Momo, basically saying, may the best candidate win. Aizawa tells him, I don't care how you do it, as long as there's no fighting, you don't destroy anything. They all look at each other. Momo gives them, of course. Deku says, no problem. And Shadow scoffs and sits back down. After that, they all begin to vote. Once they're done voting, they see that Momo got first place. Miles, Deku, and Shadow basically is a tie for vice president. Shadow and Deku need to look at each other, and Deku gives him a sly grin. And basically pulls out one of his votes, taking out his own vote, giving it to Miles, basically making sure that he becomes the vice president. After seeing that, Momo is somewhat surprised, but she looks at Shadow basically borderline pissed. Miles is surprised and basically asks Deku, why did you do that? Deku tells him, you can help the class out more than I can. Besides, you're smarter than me anyway. Deku looks at Shadow and tells him, see, not everything's a competition. Shadow calms down, rolls his eyes, and looks forward. After that's done, they all begin to head lunch. Once they had their lunch, they begin to talk about how Ida's basically part of a hero family. A few minutes have passed, they're still talking and eating until an alarm goes off. Everyone begins to rush out the lunchroom. Class 1A is confused. Ida grabs a third year and basically asks, what's going on? The third year tells them that the villains are attacking the school and begin to rush off. After that, they all head to the exit. But once they get there, they get pushed to the side by the other students. Tails and Knuckles get pushed to the wall, while Deku and Uraraka get pushed to the window. Deku sees that it's the press and tells that to Knuckles and Miles. He basically tells Miles to just fly up and basically tell everyone. While that was going on, we cut the Shadow's perspective a few minutes ago. After hearing that there's a possible villain breaking into the school, Shadow rushes off into the opposite direction, basically trying to figure out where's the teacher's lounge. Shadow has a bad feeling about this and busted right into the door. You see the shadow-like thing begin to absorb itself, wondering what that was. He swipes at it and it disappears. After that happens, Shadow begins to wonder, so villains did break into the school. If so, what did they come into the teacher's lounge for? And what did they steal? Shadow closes the door and leaves the teacher's lounge. Once the end of the day comes, the teachers go outside and see the gate of UA. Seeing that it's been disintegrated, wondering what happened. While our teachers are talking, Shadow walks up and tells them, I saw some mess in the teacher's lounge. I'm pretty sure they stole something. I'm not sure what. Aizawa asks him, are you sure they stole something? Shadow looks at him and tells them they went into the teacher's lounge. They had to stole something. I'm not sure what, and I don't know who has a misclick quirk, but whoever did they were in there, and they're gone. When Shadow's done with his statement, he heads home to Melissa. As the shuttle leaves, they basically go through the security cams, basically seeing that someone with a mist-like quirk was in there. They see the person in there searching for something after that they leave, but before then they see Shadow coming in through the door, wondering who that was. After the teacher dumped the footage, we cut to the next day. Alright, so I told everyone to get ready because they're going to do some rescue training. After hearing that, they all go and change into their costume, and after that they head outside. Once all the students outside, he basically tells them to get on a bus. And midway through the drive, they begin to talk to each other, basically asking, so between Shadow and Deku, who win the fight? Deku chimes in, basically telling him, of course it'll be me. I mean, without his teleportation, he can't land a punch on me at all. Shadow basically looks at him and tells him, oh, do you really think so? Deku basically looks at him and tells him, I know so. Deku tells him, if I knew you can teleport and predict how you're going to attack me, I would easily win. Shadow basically tells him, keep telling yourself that. Deku basically asks, why, do you think you're the strongest person in this class? Well, guess what, you're not. Shadow basically tells him, oh really? If so, if I'm not the strongest, who is? Deku tells him, well, I'm not completely sure, but I know for a fact that it's not going to be you. If I have to be the strongest, just to make sure that your big ego doesn't get in the way, I'll gladly take that on any day. Before they say anything else, Aizawa tells them to stop, we're here. And they get outside and they see the building saying USJ. Once they get closer to the building, they see a hero named 13. Uraki and the fangirl are basically saying this is her favorite hero. 13 begins to tell everyone about the USJ and basically brings them inside, basically telling them that quirks can be very dangerous and if used wrong can actually kill someone. Before 13 can finish, a portal begins to open in the middle of the USJ, popping out villains. Kirishima looks at Aizawa and tells him, I didn't know we're going to use fake villains. Aizawa jumps close to the stairs, tells him no, those are real. Before anyone can say anything else, Shadow begins to rush down the stairs, drop kicking one of them. Everyone sees that Shadow is making light work of the villains. Aizawa tells 13 to protect the children while jumping down to help Shadow. After jumping down, they see a mist-like portal comes up, basically telling them that this is the League of Villains. Before he can say anything else, Todoroki uses his psychokinesis and grabs the metal piece that's holding him, basically raising it up in the air and launching it right through the ceiling. He begins to turn around and begins to mess with the door, almost breaking it, telling everyone to head out. Shigaraki, after seeing his ride go straight to the ceiling, tells Nomu to go ahead and stop those kids on the stairs. It begins to rush up there before they can attack anybody else, by Knuckles and Deku attacking it, him spin-dashing right into his gut, while Knuckles punches it right in the beak, sending it right back to it. Deku grabs Knuckles and Miles, basically telling Knuckles that you need to go fight that giant bird thing, and Miles, you need to go and figure out why the alarm didn't go off. I'm going to go ahead and run back to UA. They both give him a nod, and Deku runs off, while Miles basically gets to go fly in a certain direction. Deku jumps right back down to the stairs, tackling the giant thing. Momo looks at Todoroki, telling him that you should probably go protect the other students. I'm going to go ahead and help Knuckles. He gives her a nod, and she heads off. Shira is mostly angered and scared, seeing that one of the kids dealt with his ride. A student and a teacher is basically dealing with the father, and 2 kids are fighting his special weapon that's supposed to kill All Might. While this is happening, Kodagiri comes right back into the building, exhausted. He basically tells Shigaraki that we need to leave now. Before he can say anything else, he begins to warp him right back to the base. Before Shigaraki say anything else, he gets riddled with bullets. Before they leave, he sees a spiky blue-haired kid holding up like 3 teachers. Once all that's done, Miles flies right to Deku, basically telling him that someone's quirk is probably messing with the machine. I'm not sure who it was, but it was definitely a quirk. After that, they head right back to the school so they can change and go back home. After that, we cut right back to Shigaraki, saying that one of the kids was able to deal with mostly all of the villains. 2 kids were able to deal with the Nomu. Even one of the kids were able to send Kodagiri right through the ceiling. His master begins to wonder, is there a new quirk to steal, or did one of those kids have one for all? We cut to a week later, and the sports festival is happening. Everyone's getting ready, but Todoroki comes up to Deku and basically says, I'm not sure who's the strongest between you and Shadow, so I'm just going to declare war on both of you. Deku tells him, so if that's the case, then he points to Momo and tells her, I declare war on you. I heard how you fight from Knuckles, and I want to see it for myself. Momo is a little bit surprised but intrigued. Basically pulls a fireball and crushes it in her hand, tells her, alright, don't get burnt.